Cavendish has launched the winning move. Last boom tested on the line. Tor Hutchar claims victory. Renshaw takes it on the line. Oh, what a crash there! His last boom. This is his second stage victory. Cavendish takes a final stage.
Hello and welcome to the North Norfolk Showground on the outskirts of Norwich for the start of the 2012 Tour of Britain. We'll have some live racing for you very shortly. The riders expected here in about 2.5 hours' time. It's a beautiful sunny day. In fact, it's the kind of day you'd wish to be beside the seaside. And in fact, the riders will skirt the coastline today on their way here, as they will many times over the course of the next 7 days as they roll around Great Britain. Let's take a look now at the race route. Days. It's an East Anglian Grand Depart from Ipswich to the north, and then through to Cav, the outskirts of Norwich. Stage 2 begins in Nottingham, crossing the Peak District, and then a sprint to the line on Merseyside. Into the Scottish borders for Stage 3, and the ups and downs of Dumfries and Galloway, before a short hop to Carlisle and the race to Blackpool. Over 2,000 metres of climbing awaits on Stage 5, starting and ending in Stoke-on-Trent, before the mountains of mid-Wales rear into view on Stage 6. Devon will host the penultimate stage, Barnstaple on the county's north coast to Dartmouth in the south. And the final leg in Surrey will see riders head from Reigate through the finish line in Guildford and out into the Surrey Hills. Well, they said last year's Tour of Britain was tough, but this one's being billed as the toughest yet. A man who should know a thing or two about just how hard this race can be is Rob Hales. Rob, who will be in our commentary box today, but also, of course, you've ridden this race, and taking a look at the route overall, it does look as though it's going to put the riders through their paces.
It does, and Mick puts on a great race every year, and it really does test everything that a rider needs. The short, sharp climbs of the UK is something that sometimes puts a bit of a shock into the legs of the continental riders, who are obviously used to big, longer mountain passes, smaller roads, and sometimes the weather. And I think today it's got them on the back foot as well, because this is European weather, isn't it? It's absolutely gorgeous today.
I know you could be on the Vuelta. It is getting a little bit windy here, and I imagine it's probably quite windy down there on the coast as well. Yeah,
they're going to be down at Great Yarmouth today on the coast there. But we've got a howling tailwind finish here, and there's 3 90-degree bends in the last couple of kilometres. So the lead out for today's finish, if it comes down to a sprint, is going to be extremely important.
Fantastic crowds. We were there at the start down in Ipswich, and there were about 10 deep at the Sky Bus. I was going to say we've never seen crowds like this at a bike race in the UK, but I think we probably did a couple of weeks ago during the Olympics.
Well, every time now we have racing on the open roads in Great Britain, the crowds are absolutely amazing. And yeah, those Olympic Games, I think off the back of obviously what Brad and the team did at the Tour de France this year, really has heightened it. And I spoke to Mick Bennett yesterday, and in fact I spoke to him a few weeks ago and said, are you ready for the Tour of Britain? Because they are going to be big, and we've seen that already today. It's great.
I saw Bradley this morning just when he came off the team bus, and I think he was a little bit overawed by the crowd. He's used to that, of course, when he's in France and on some of the big races, but to come here and see the home crowd and to see the reaction he gets when he steps off the bus is quite overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think to have the local crowd, the local roads, especially when we head up further up north to his hometown, it's really good for the riders, for their heads, for their morale, and for everyone around. I'm really looking forward to this week's racing.
Yeah, everybody's looking forward to seeing Brad on the road, and of course everybody's looking forward to seeing Mark Cavendish on the road as well, the reigning world champion, and fantastic to see him in that rainbow jersey. The last week that he can wear it before he defends it, of course, in Holland next week, and Rob caught up with him in the lead up to today.
Mark, you spent a lot of time training on the UK roads this year. How are you looking forward to racing on them?
That'll be good. It'll be good to see so many people out there this time, as well. We rode the Olympic Games a few weeks ago. Crowds there. I'm expecting kind of 8 days the same crowds, same feel, same love of cycling. We've got a British Tour de France winner racing here in the Tour of Britain, British world champion, and it's going to be exciting.
Well, Mark Cavendish's future with Team Sky perhaps up in the air. He says it's undecided at this stage, but certainly he's riding for Team Sky this week, and I think he'll be looking for a big lead out here today.
Yeah, I think he really will. This is the type of finish that he likes, and he wants to do that jersey proud, and he knows that it's the last week and the last race that he's going to be wearing that, and he has been proud wearer of it, and he's wanted to do it justice, and today is certainly one of those days.
Great to see the likes of Jez Hunt in that team as well. He says this will be his, it's his last Tour of Britain. He's retiring at the end of this season. But some other big names have come to the Tour of Britain for the very first time, the likes of Sammy Sanchez, Ivan Basso.
Yeah, I think Ivan Basso probably the biggest name, you know, double winner of the Giro d'Italia, former podium place in the Tour de France. He's happy to be here. Sammy Sanchez looking good and using this as well for preparation for next week's World Championships as well in Limburg.
And of course, everybody disappointed not to see him defend that Olympic title after he crashed out in the Tour de France. So, yeah, brilliant that the British crowds will get to see him in action. What about the other British contenders? The John Tiernan lot, a lot of people tipping him for success this week.
Yeah, 5th last year. He won the Mountains jersey as well. He's looking for this. He's got a better team. I think it's just managing expectation with him, but he's here with the Enduro Racing team, and he's got a really good chance. And again, he's on local roads when we get down into the West Country, down skirting on Dartmoor. He loves those roads, and this race really does suit him.
You mentioned mountains, of course. That stage in Caerphilly could be the definitive stage, couldn't it?
Most definitely. Mick always likes to put tough ones in, and it was the one thing that I won't say hated, but I disliked about this race was the hills. But at least it gave me a chance to experience my enjoyment of descending, which is always good, and being in the cars on the convoy now and again.
Great. Well, I'm going to let you get off to commentary, Rob. Big job ahead of you there. But of course, you mentioned the mountains. As we're in Suffolk and Norfolk, funnily enough, it won't surprise you to hear there aren't many mountains on today's stage. Let's take a closer look at it now. The opening stage of the 2012 race looks to be one for the sprinters, travelling just over 2,000 kilometres across the flatlands of Britain's eastern counties of Suffolk and Norfolk. Starting on the waterfront at Ipswich before racing up to Great Yarmouth along stretches of exposed coast for a sharp turn inland, and the finish line at the Norfolk Showground on the outskirts of Norwich. And that is exactly where we are now. In fact, I'm actually standing on the podium, and this is where the winners will receive their jerseys in, about 2.5 hours' time. The racing, of course, already underway. They rolled out of Ipswich a bit earlier on today amidst huge crowds. Fantastic to see them at the start. And these are live pictures now then of the race. And right from the go-get, there were 4 riders got away as soon as racing got underway proper out of the neutralised zone. And it would be absolutely no surprise to anybody who follows British racing to know that Christian House of Rafa Condor was amongst them. At one point, that group of 4 got away with 7 minutes in hand ahead of the main peloton. That's been brought back to, well, as you can see now, it's just at 1:53 with 57 kilometres to go. And of course, the whole point is for the bunch to catch them just as they come in to set up for the sprint finish, hopefully here in the Norfolk Showground. We will get to live action straight after the break, where you'll be joined by Rob Hales, and who else but Hugh Porter. Okay, are we happy? I lost you there, Rowan. Rowan, I lost you there.
Look at that for a shot. Glorious countryside there. And let me just underline the situation in the race. These are the 4 leaders, and they are Johnny Clark from United Healthcare, Ronnie Mathias of Sauer Association, and well, in fact, we can confirm the caption there. They slipped away after about 2 miles, just at the edge of Ipswich, and they built up a lead of almost 7 minutes. I know Jill mentioned that at the top of the programme, but it's being whittled away, as you can see now, 1 minute and 46 with 53 kilometres of racing to go. We've had the 3 sprints tidied up in the Yodel sprint competition, and the same man has crossed the line first on every occasion. Ronnie Mathias of Sauer Association of France, so he will step onto the podium to collect the leader's jersey in that particular category. And there's still 1 more climb to come in the King of the Mountains. That's the Skoda King of the Mountains competition. And Christian House of Great Britain, there he is on the front, who rides for Rafa Condor Sharp, has been to the top of the first 2. So at the moment he is leading in the best climber of the day competition. Let me just tell you, they are modest climbs today, 3rd category, but it's enough just to establish the leader. Of course, tomorrow we move into the real hills when there are 3 first category ascents to be negotiated, and then we're likely to see the specialists beginning to flex their muscles. But it's been a fabulous stage. There have been thousands and thousands of people all the way along the route. That's the first sprint results in Melton. Came after 9 kilometres. And as I just said, Ronnie Matias was the victor on all 3 occasions. So a new name to me, really. In fact, I don't know too much about that team, actually, Rob.
No, a French team, big French team. But Matias, he's obviously a French rider from Guadeloupe, and had many results out that way. I think he actually won the sprints jersey in the Tour of Guadeloupe a few years back, but again very light on results since about 2008, I think. So yeah, he'll be looking for something here today, and certainly I would have expected him to be pushing on in these sprints, and that he has done.
And of course, when we think about the history of the Tour since it's come back, this it's its 9th edition. Great Britain yet still to find a winner. We've been second twice with Steve Cummings, and we've been third once with the great strong Ian Stannard, but we're still waiting to flag up a winner in the 9 tours, or it'll be the 10th, won't it? The 9th, I should say.
We are, and yeah, Stannard came so close and was riding so strong. I was actually in the team with him that year, and it was a little bit of a disappointment there for him. But we are, and but I think also what it highlights is the strength of this race in terms of having the bigger pro teams come from the continent to race in the UK, and it's something that they've obviously done over the years in this race in its various guises, as the Tours of Britain, as they were previously titled in different ways. But in recent years, British cycling has really has been a dominant force, and it's going that way. And Basso said in one of his interviews yesterday, he was really looking forward to coming to the UK to race, to see exactly what all the fuss was about.
Well, I feel sure the fuss is being confirmed. Just another point to make as well, Rob. The reason a lot of these superstars want to ride in the Tour of Britain, it's perfectly pitched in the calendar as the final preparation for the World Championships, because they go away from here to compete in the World Championships, and of course that has on the course the famous Cowberg that lips up just before the finish, and the kind of climbs that are on this circuit is perfect preparation.
They are, that's correct, and these roads really do suit it, as you say, and the way it falls in the calendar. It is quite a busy time, but especially the fact due to the Worlds being in Europe this year in Limburg, a lot of people won't want to be travelling out to Canada at the moment, which some of them have done. We've got the Vuelta, Tour of Spain, which has been going on. Again, good preparation, but not every rider can get in that. It doesn't suit every rider, and a 3-week tour is often a little bit too much for people preparing for a race only a week later. So this is absolutely perfect for them.
Philippe Gilbert, of course, of Belgium. He's won 2 stages in the Vuelta. It's probably the best form I've seen him in for a couple of years, so he's a man to look out for. But just starting to speculate about the final 50 kilometres, 37 miles of racing. It's really all building up to a sprinter scenario, and somebody like Mark Cavendish must be licking his lips at the thought of that. The Tour of Britain has been good to Mark when it comes to clinching stage victories. He bookended last year's Tour by opening up with the first stage in the north of the country, and then he tidied up the concluding stage on a very, very wet day in London. And he has just, I feel now, dismissed the legacy of disappointment of not getting a medal in the Olympic Games, because he just won a stage, the last stage in the Tour of Denmark. So Cav, super sprinter, starting to get back into shape.
Yeah, hopefully. He's been in Italy training, and he's going pretty well. I know Talk was coming back from that camp, but he felt good. We'll have to wait and see how it goes, but the team is certainly setting him up for the finish here. We can see Jeremy Hunt on the front, who, a great stalwart of British cycling and an integral part of his world title victory last year in Copenhagen.
Super sprinter as well, Jeremy Hunt, so an ideal wheel to have to come off in the concluding metres towards the line. In the chasing, we've seen Lachlan Norton as well, the 20-year-old Aussie. He's been helping out quite a bit for the Garmin Sharp team, along with, of course, Sky. And there's been evidence of the Sigma Sport team as well. So they are really the 3 that have been contributing to the pace setting. Just on the right, sorry Rob, you can just see a hand up, but just ahead of them we can see 3 riders, I think it is, from the Great Britain team. It's a young Great Britain team that's been given a chance to compete here, to cut their teeth with the pros under the guidance of Keith Lambert, the manager. It's going to be a tough learning curve for them, but it's the ideal way to serve the apprenticeship.
Oh, it really is, and it's great to be able to do it in your home country. It certainly helps with the riders, the younger riders who are learning their trade, and as you say, under the guise of Keith Lambert, who better to be looking after them. And yeah, I don't think they'll be expecting too much results-wise from this race, but you never know in this race. Anything can happen, and often does.
And once the GC pattern becomes established and there are big gaps, then there's an opportunity for riders to slip away and be given the opportunity to bask in the kudos and maybe clinch a stage. That Great Britain team, the young team, there's some talent in there, very good on the track. And Simon Yates, who's number 166 in the lineup, won a stage in the Tour de l'Avenir last year, which is the sort of junior form of the Tour de France, when young riders used to look to win stages to impress director sportives who later might choose them as a stagiaire on the pro teams.
Yeah, this time of the year it's so important for those new younger riders.
So you're still looking here at the 4 who are still tapping it out in the lovely leafy countryside, but for how much longer are they going to stay clear? We'll take a commercial break. .117, well, coming down all the time, isn't it? They know they're just out there for what, maybe another 25 Ks?
Yeah, generally what happens is the riders back in the peloton at the front of the bunch controlling that speed, their calculation is generally a minute for every 10 kilometres. So at this point in the race, 45 kilometres to go, they could have allowed 4 minutes. Just over 4 minutes at this point, so they're well inside that 117. So it's fairly sure that it's going to come back. These 4 riders here know that. They would have expected it from the start anyway, and their job wasn't actually to go out and try and win this stage in this small group. For someone like Christian Haus here from Rafa Condor, his job has been to go out, and he set himself up for the King of the Mountains. And he's currently in that at the moment as it stands, and that's his job. He's held that jersey back in 2008. He didn't come to the end of the race and win it, but he did hold it in that race, and it's so important for these guys, especially the domestic guys, to get out there and show their jerseys of their teams in the way that he is.
And of course the exposure for their sponsors is ginormous, isn't it? I mean, they're on the podium on live television, and of course they're carried in all the press reportage of each stage. So to win a classification is very, very important. The fact that they're not riding, of course, on the Pro Tour circuit, they have to pitch their ideas, and the team talks at night and decide which one they are going to have a crack at.
They really do, and for a lot of the teams here and a lot of the riders, they know that they are not, the chances are they're not going to come out of this race having a result. But what they do is they make sure that they get out there like these guys are doing here. You see it so often in the Tour de France where riders go out, they go out clear, and they know that they're not going, the inevitability of them getting caught is massive, and they know that they're not going to get out there and cross the line first, but that's not their sole ambition out there. It is to go out there and do what these riders are doing here and get their jerseys shown off.
So just to bring people up to speed who are probably watching cycle racing, well, for the first time, or you're not totally au fait with it, let me just tell you, the man who covers the distance in the shortest time, in other words, his times of every stage are added up, and the man, when they get to the finish, who's had the times added up, and it's the shortest time, he is the overall winner. There's a points classification. Every day you finish in the top 15, you're awarded points. The one who amasses the most points, he will wear the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey. That is, of course, a jersey that Cav won on the Champs-Élysées, the green jersey. It's a very prestigious jersey. There's the Skoda King of the Mountains classification. That, of course, is for the man who amasses the most points on the climbs. And then there's the intermediate sprints, 3 sprints every day for the overall sprints classification. So there's lots to go for apart from the overall victory.
There is. And just touching on one of the other reasons why these riders do go out there and they do go clear, it obviously takes the pressure off of their teammates, and it can be such a psychological benefit to know that you've got a teammate out there, up the road clear. It really does take the pressure off the rest of them. So, for instance, somebody like United Healthcare, Robert Forster, for instance, if he's their sprinter, he knows that he can sit there and all his teammates who will be there for him for the lead out, they don't have to do a single thing. They can just sit there and leave all the work to the riders and the teams who have missed this break.
Which is exactly, of course, which will be the plan, no doubt, for Sky Pro Cycling. So there they are, the four continuing to pedal along, 42 kilometres to go to the finish. And well, there hasn't been much of a change at the front. It's been Garmin, Sharp, it's been Sky, and there's been Sigma Sport. They've been there, of course, throughout most of the stage, just tapping the rhythm out at the front, keeping the pace high.
Yeah, we can see the riders now just taking a little bit of a relax.
There's the shot down the finishing funnel, Rob, and the crowd building all of the time here. And as you look down the finishing funnel, let me just tell you, it's quite a tricky approach. It isn't a straight approach. Let me tell you that they come actually off the Dereham Road and then they swing right into the park, and then there is a left turn. It's a little bit of chicane. It runs round the back of the buildings, and then it's a really sharp right to line them up for the run to the line. I don't like to say this, but a lot of riders are going to be twitchy down that finishing straight, and the place to be is really right up in the front cluster.
There is, it's quite open here, and there is that breeze. You could see it with the flags. You can see it here in the picture. But the last kind of 3.5 kilometres, it's going to be a big crosswind, which is going to put an awful lot of pressure on those riders trying to jostle for position. And then this final straight here, it is pretty much tailwind, cross tailwind, so it's going to be a very quick finish for these guys. But it's all about that lead out. It's so important because we've got 4 bends, 3 of them 90 degree in that last kilometre and 200 metres, 1200 metres. So extremely, extremely important for position for that final run into this finish today.
We did visit this part of the world last year on stage 7, the penultimate day, and of course it finished in Sandringham then, Sandringham Moor Park, and it was actually the Lithuanian who's actually riding again today that clinched the stage, Debidias Bagdonas, who is the Lithuanian national champion, and he outpaced Wilco in Wilkinson and Matej Cloud from Team Europcar. They'd been away all day and built up a big lead, similar to the situation that we've got here, and for once the peloton didn't pull them back, but of course they didn't affect the overall. That's why they would be given their chance.
That's right. And just mentioning Ian Wilkinson there for Enduro Racing, who came in second there. I know a big disappointment for him, but he didn't make it this year with the team, unfortunately. But they do have I think their team leader Jonathan Tierenlock, 5th from last year, and came away with that Skoda King of the Mountains classification at the end of the race. He's certainly looking for big things this week in this race.
And another late change for the Enduro Racing as well, Rob, was Johnny McAvoy's come in for Camano. Now he's one of their strong men. What's happened there?
Yeah, Iker Camano, the Basque rider. They were training out in Spain last week on their last-minute training camp for this, and unfortunately pulled his foot out of the pedal and hit his knee quite hard on the handlebar, and that's just put paid to this race. So a big blow to the team there. But Johnny McAvoy, he's a great worker. He'll be riding wingman with Ian Bibby on that squad. But yeah, Iker Camano is someone who's definitely a big miss. But yeah, Johnny McAvoy, he's in there.
Well, edging ever nearer to that 60-second gap of advantage. They're just hanging out there, aren't they? Enjoying their moment of escape, but it's not going to be for too much longer. Just look at these glorious villages that we're going through. Crowds really getting involved with it. What they are doing actually is they're coming out, a lot of people, and viewing it as they go past, then diving straight back into the front room and watching it on the TV.
They certainly are. Either that or they're pulling the television to the window and the patio doors and sitting out in the garden, because my word, aren't we blessed with great weather for this race.
And when you think of some of the weather we've had this summer, when it's been peppering down with rain, this is, well, a real blessing to race in conditions such as this. They're loving it, aren't they? Stage 1 then of the Tour of Britain. tell you that this race is going to thread its way all the way around the country before we finally arrive in Guildford for the finish, and that of course is 1 week today. There'll be some tired legs there, believe me.
We just got a shot there on the right hand side of the motorbike with the blackboard, just giving the riders information on the time check, so they'll know that with 39.5 kilometres to go, as we can see in the corner of the screen, and it's now only 1 minute and 12 to the 4 leaders. So they just peg them back gradually. They know the information, they're getting that every now and again. It's something that the riders need, and it really does help with the racing and the tactics that the riders play out on the road.
Kai Ruiz there, number 35. Actually has been here a couple of times before, but he had a really good tour here in 2009. He actually took stage 2 from Darlington to Newcastle Gateshead, and he pulled the race leader's jersey on, and he's also a former winner of the under-23 Tourigen Rundfahrt. So pretty good rider is Kai Ruiz, the 27-year-old Dutchman. See whether the course this year is going to suit him.
Just further back on the left-hand side, we can see the green and white jerseys with the blue shoulder of Liquigas. It's one of their classic moves. They keep their team leader, who so far in this race at the moment is Ivan Basso. They'll keep him up out of trouble. It's the way they work. It's the way they've always ridden in the Giro and the Tour de France. They ride en masse. And so much of this bike racing is all about teamwork and tactics. It's very easy to look at it and just see it's about the first rider across the line, but there is an awful lot more going on in amongst that.
The man we caught a glimpse of near the back of the big peloton was Bela Blocki, and he is actually riding on the team of Giordana NGR. They are actually managed by the great Malcolm Elliott, one of our greatest sprinters ever, and they've got a good sprinter in their team actually, Enrico Rogers, a Kiwi, who actually clinched the Newport Nocturne just a week ago, the biggest nocturne in the country, with his sprint. So he'll be another man to keep an eye out on in the finishing funnel. Graham Briggs, of course, who's now riding on the rally team. He's the British Closed Circuit champion. They had a couple of other riders to throw in the mix for the sprint.
Yeah, Marcin, strong rider there. Under that Node 4 Giordana team. But yeah, Rico Rogers, as you mentioned, had a quick word with him yesterday, and the talk, like it does with a lot of the Kiwis and cycling and coffee, and it's quite a common theme. But they've also got Matt Cronshaw in there as well, and Pete Williams for their lead out for the sprint.
Certainly going to be some finish. Just 1 minute and 7 seconds there. How much more freedom are they going to enjoy? Not wide for sound in this, Rob?
No, not in this one. This is why they got the boards out, giving them information on the motorbike.
Sky never far away from the front, and they will have worked out their game plan, of course, at the team meeting, and I would think this is going pretty well to plan.
Yes, so far so good. As I say, we've not had any reports of any crashes yet. As yet, although this finish with these bends in the last few kilometres, who knows? But these conditions, it's pretty much as good as it gets to make sure that you can keep it upright. All they've got to look out for is, I think, probably melting tar is their biggest obstacle, if anything, today. And certainly that should be the only thing slippery on the bends.
Well, if Mark Cavendish could nail this stage victory back in 2007, he won the prologue. Do you remember we had a short prologue that year? Yep. And Cav won the prologue.
Crystal Palace, was it?
It was, yeah. And then he won stage 1 as well, that took the riders to Southampton. And then he, last year, won a couple of stages as well. Alex Dowsett of Great Britain won the time trial, and the only other British rider that I can remember that's won stages, and he's got a brace of victories to his credit, is Roger Hammond. So there's just 3 British riders that have been a stage winner.
I believe Paul Manning as well took
Paul
the
Manning,
stage.
that is a good
Paul Manning.
Yep, good one there. He won into Scotland, didn't he?
I think it was, did he solo in?
Into Scotland.
He certainly didn't sprint in ahead of the bunch, knowing Paul Manning.
Mr. Reliable, remember, from the Team Pursuit, Paul Manning. A man, of course, who was a gold medal winner in the Team Pursuit at the Worlds, the Commonwealth, and the Olympic Games. You are right. So where are we? We've got Cav, Paul Manning, Dowsett and Hammond. So it's quite an exclusive club.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
It also flags up just how hard it is to win a stage by the pedigree and the quality of the field.
Here you can see the riders, they're just all doing their turn, bit and bit, as they say. The rider on the front normally producing anything around 30% more energy and more power to keep the speed up. So this is why they rotate. If anyone's wondering why they're doing this, it's all about conserving your energy and taking your turn just to push the wind. And it is that much harder on the front. The faster you go, the harder it is, obviously. But they're all taking good even turns here, nobody missing out. It's a nice small group. If the group was much bigger, say 8-9 riders, then often you'll have 1 or 2 riders who'll decide that they'll want to sit in, and that can disrupt the workload and the rhythm of the group. But here, not a problem, all working well together.
And none of these teams, of course, are members of the Pro Tour. We have got teams in the lineup here from the Pro Tour. We've mentioned 1 or 2, Vacances Soleil, Garmin, Sharp, Sky, and of course Escatal, Escadai. They are also, and also the Orica Green Edge. So they are, of course, from the Pro Tour. So these are like the second division.
Yeah, but they're all the, you know, especially with Rafa Condor. They are one of the biggest domestic teams that we have. All of the top domestic teams are here, which is really good to see.
So the premier event then on the domestic calendar is once again coming towards a conclusion, this first stage. 4 riders still in the lead. We'll take another break. So 65 seconds, still the advantage. And 65 seconds, as I say, still the advantage, but it's not going to be too long now before they get swept up. But we were just talking about the buses that the riders travel around in now, and of course the Pro Tour buses. I mean, the transfers are made a lot more comfortable by the fact that inside these buses it's like 6-star opulence, isn't it?
It is, and for a lot of the smaller teams, especially the domestic teams, they will have their sandwich and their recovery drink, and then they'll sit in the back of the minibus or the car and get themselves across. A few of them have had small camping cars the last few years, but teams such as Sky, who are at the opposite end of the scale, they've got their bus here and they shower, they're ready, they've got business class seating, they've all got their docking stations there for any media that they need, and they've got a kitchen on board, and so they will have a full meal straight away, whatever their choice of food is. So rather than just have a small sandwich and a fizzy drink, they will have everything laid on, and that just starts the recovery process. That 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes earlier than a lot of the others, and it is such a big integral part of stage racing, especially one-day racing, not quite so important, but obviously stage racing where you're competing like this day after day, pushing the body, especially in this kind of heat. Then Jeremy Hunt is certainly going to need a recovery drink after today, that's for sure.
But the Soigneur will be on board, would they take massage as well?
Oh yes, they'll be massaged. Most teams will have, here with 6 riders, they'll have at least 2 Soigneurs, the bigger teams. Some of the smaller teams maybe 1. They often have 2 mechanics as well, because obviously the mechanic's job, once you get back to the hotel, they've then got to often put the spotlights on out in the car park and get the bikes all washed and ready for the next day's work, and tyres that need replacing, anything like that. If they've had crashes, then obviously there's often bits of broken bike that need to be put back together and replaced. So for the riders, it's actually, stage racing is easy. All they've got to do is do what we're seeing now and do the riding, but time-wise, it's so much harder for the other staff.
I hope they're not recording that. I remember when I was a stage race rider, Rob, I didn't find it very easy. So, but I think you ought to just clarify that we're coming out with 1 or 2 bits of terminology here from Cycling Like Peloton, which of course is the parlance of the cycling language. Peloton, of course, the language of cycling really is come from France, hasn't it? But now, of course, English is the predominant language. So if we slip back into those like peloton, we're obviously referring to the bunch, but maybe you'd like to just clarify the soigneur.
Yeah, soigneur, helper. He's the guy who will give the massage. He prepares all the food, the musettes, the bags, the small bags that we often see the guys either going back to the car for or being handed at the feed station. For instance, today's feed station was at around about half distance at 91.8 kilometres. So the riders there will pick up these musettes, the bags that will have various bits and pieces of nutrition and drinks and bottles. But yeah, it's the soigneur who does all that. So there, and then also the washing. Most of the trucks will have washing machines and dryers, so all the kit is done. Again, it just saves the riders having to hand wash like so many of us used to have to do over the years. And massage, massive important for legs and the glutes and sometimes the back, upper body, depending on the riders. And also, if they've had a crash, then there's that, hopefully they don't have to require hospital appointments, but they now and again that happens for x-rays. But just with the bandages, the road rash that we often see, and I'm just looking down at the scars I've got on both my elbows, and I know where they are on the rest of my body. They are just all healed, bandaged up and kept clean, and that's another job that they have to do.
So I've lost a bit of bark off the body over the years, I can see, Rob.
One or two. Normally only in a little race like the Olympic Games or something like that. Nothing too
when
important.
you slid down the track, I remember in the Madison. But there's one point you didn't make there about the soigneur, probably the most important of all. They have to be a good listener.
They do, and it's often for the riders when they have their massage, it's the one time in the day that they have to really relax and switch off. And the riders will either virtually go to sleep. I'm not saying that I've ever slept on the massage table at all, but not that often anyway. But it's also when the riders start to, they just let kind of all their frustrations out, and they have their one-to-ones and talking with the soigneur, and they do have to be a very good listener. And
you're asleep all the time, Rob.
I don't know what you're talking.
No, you are right. The soigneur is so important. Well, 55 seconds. Okay, we're inside the magical 1 minute advantage now then. For how much longer? 29 kilometres to go. It's getting very, very near, isn't it? About 18 miles of racing left through this glorious countryside before they're going to arrive here at the Norfolk Showground. A little bit more pressure being applied at the front now. One or two riders trying to get a little bit twitchy. They want to get involved. We've got a member there of the UK youth cycling team sitting second wheel. As these little corrugations that the riders have to tackle, you can see, doesn't look too much, but the riders are all forced out of the saddle here as they are approaching yet another of the drags.
Yeah, getting to the end of the stage here, we can see the yellow jersey. This isn't the yellow jersey, the yellow car with Wigo.
I think we're getting near to the final climb here, actually, Robert, Swanton Morley. And let me just tell you that Christian House has been first on the first two climbs, at Snape at 24 kilometres and at Westleton after 48 kilometres. So at the moment he's leading that competition comfortably. And it looks like there's a bit of a challenge on here because he has been at the top of the first two first, so he's got 8 points, and the same man has been second each time, and that's Whiting of An Post, and these two have slipped away because the points for this third climb could decide the destiny of the King of the Mountains jersey, and it's Christian House that's leading it out. So this is the first sprint we've really seen of the race. Now then, House is a wily sprinter, former National Road champion, and he's got a good turn of speed. So the approach to the climb still continues to unfold, and obviously House is very concerned about Whiting because Whiting has got 6 points and Christian House has got 8, just 2 between them. 4 for first on the climb, 3 for second, 2 for third, and 1 for fourth. It's interesting, this, isn't it? Almost like a track stand.
Cat and mouse, and the other 2 riders have dropped off. We saw there's one back now from healthcare, but Matthias, he seemed to have a problem. I don't know if he was looking down at a wheel, whether he punctured and wanted service. He won't be too concerned because he's not actually been going for these King of the Mountains, Skoda King of the Mountains classification points. He's been going for the IG for the Yodel sprints.
So it's Johnny Clark. Yeah, Johnny Clark that came up to join them. He's right on the front there. So it's Clark, House, and then it's Whiting.
Mathias, he's actually pulled over on the side of the road, and we saw him just on the side of the road, obviously needing service, needing to go back to his vehicle. So again, he knows that this group isn't going to be staying away today to the finish. So he's done his job for the day. He's happy. His team director will certainly be happy, and he's gone back into the safety of that peloton.
Well, it's a long run, isn't it, this, to the finish, and now they're down to 3. And the speed, of course, has come down dramatically here, hasn't it? Because, look, it's only 50 seconds now, the advantage.
It really, really will start to tumble this time. Once the guys at the front of the peloton start to really inject the pace, which they haven't really done up to now, we can see there's a lot of riders across the road. They're all looking, they're all waiting. As you said there, Team UK Youth there, one of the riders just having a chat with big Magnus Backstedt in there.
Yeah, Node for Giordano over to the left as well. Here's the sprint then for the final climb of the day. Christian House gets it on the line, so he picks up the 4 points. So it's a full house for Christian House. He has got 12 points, and that means that he will collect the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey on the podium at the end of the stage. But there was a lot of cat and mouse stuff there, wasn't there? And a lot of respect being shown as well. Niels Whiting, the Belgian on the An Post team, he's just acknowledging the stronger man. These are the final meters to the line, and Christian House, well, he proved that he was the stronger. So that's 2 jersey positions decided here at the finish on stage 1, and that is the Yodel Sprints competition. That'll go over the shoulders of Ronnie Mathias of Sauer-Sochazon, the Frenchman, and the King of the Mountains will go onto the shoulders of Christian House, representing Rafa Conde Sharp. Now then, we want to see the destiny of the IG Markets gold jersey. Leader on the road then, with a 9-second cushion over the rest of the field, picked up by winning those 3 sprints, is Ronnie Mathias of Sauer-Sochazon. How critical that's going to be if it comes down to a sprint, because the bonus is on the line as well, Rob. 10, 6 and 4, and if he's in the peloton, it could be quite interesting, couldn't it?
It is possibly one of the reasons why he's gone back early, to get himself recovered from the efforts that he's done today out on the road in that small group. Get together with his teammates. Yeah, it's quite possible, yes, if he can try and get himself up there. And we've seen another issue here with Luca Gas, a bike change there again for Borghini. That's twice now he's been back to the car, once for a wheel change, as we saw just a few minutes ago.
So 15 miles to go, 46 seconds the advantage. This race, he's finally poised. So you're looking again here at the front of the event, 24 seconds, as I speak, 23 kilometres to go. The team of Sky beginning to assemble at the front, as we thought would be the case. Endura are present there as well, no doubt looking after the interests of possibly Russell Downing, who used to ride for Sky, and he has some very impressive results, and he's a good sprinter as well.
Yeah, he is a prolific winner in not only the domestic scene, but when he rode for Sky, I think he had two, possibly 3 victories on the continent. Great rider. I mean, he won the Tour of Ireland with all the top teams to get that final contract with Team Sky.
Former British road race champion as well.
2005.
Yeah, in fact, I think he's won it twice. He's a very, very impressive rider, a Yorkshireman, one of 2 racing brothers. But I can tell you, Russian Daddy, you were on about those performances when he was with Sky. He won stage 2 of the Criterium International, if you remember, and also he won a very, very tough Tour of Ireland. He also won the Tour of Wallonie, so he's very, very good rider, and he's one of the few British riders that's made the top 6 at the end of the Tour of Britain. So who knows, maybe Russell Downing could be another man to put in the shake-up at the sprint.
quite possibly. Who knows? Anything can happen with Russell Downing. Great rider.
Yeah, the quintet of Sky Riders right on the front, the nose, the business end of the contest now, as we're heading on to 22 kilometres to go.
You can just see the back of the peloton there, really strung out, and riders riding a lot lower on the front end of their bikes, which is signs that the bunch is starting to pick up pace.
You're right there, Rob. And in fact, there are the leaders. They've capitulated. They're sitting up, and they know that their job has been done today. It's been fruitful for two. That means that two of the riders that were away, i.e. on the front, Christian House, he's going to get the jersey for King of the Mountains, and the other man that went back a little earlier, and that of course is Ronnie Matthias, will get the Yodel Sprints jersey. Well, it looks like the man from An Post, Sean Kelly, is going to continue here. He's not going to give up. He wants to stay out in the lead. This is the Belgian, and this is Whiting. I can't see that succeeding now. The field are just going to pull him back, aren't they?
They will do, but and I'm pretty sure he's aware of that. He could possibly be hoping that 2 or 3 riders will go across to him, but that's highly unlikely, and it doesn't look like that's happening. But again, he's out there. He's just showing his jersey off again, and quite possibly he's at the end of his contract, and at the moment he hasn't got a contract for next year. And so the more he can do to show his aggression and the way that he can ride, then the more chance he's got of being seen by not only the directors that are here on the race, but those looking, watching on the TV and looking at the results on the continent.
Just look at the Sky team on the left now. What a sight this is then, Rob. I mean, they're all lined out there now, aren't they? Beginning to raise the tempo. We got one rider at the back. I think he's either been for some bottles, but no doubt he'll thread his way up through the wheels and join them. And Jeremy, they are showing a 5-second advantage for the lone leader.
Yeah, Jeremy Hunt there again, going back for bottles. He's done an awful lot of work today, and so his job now, I think, will be to go back. He's gone back, obviously, in the last 20 kilometres you're not allowed to feed, you're not allowed to go back and take on any more refreshments. So he's done that, and that's it now. His job's done. He'll just move himself forward, drop the bottles off, and then do what he can for the finish to help out in that lead out. But he's put an awful lot of energy out there, expended an awful lot today.
Jeremy Hunt, I think, will be licking his lips at the thought of the penultimate stage. Being a Devonian, he'd surely love to sign off with a victory there. That would be a signature grand finale, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it, Justin? Those roads, he can get himself around pretty much any of the roads around in this race this year.
Well, a strange style of riding. You see quite a lot of that these days, with the hands just resting on the bars. I always make a criticism, because if you were to hit a hole in the road, you'd go over the top.
You can. When you're riding on your own like this, it's not too bad, because he's got full vision of what's coming. But the riders who do it a little bit further back, it can really affect you. Here you can see the riders Enduro Racing, as we mentioned earlier, really starting to pile the pressure on now. It's a little bit open, and the chances are there's a crosswind coming, and which is why they're all riding in the left-hand gutter. The wind will be coming across from those open fields there on the right-hand side, as we see a crash now.
Well, crash, yep. I think what happened there, the grass verges are quite high, and well, there we are on the floor. It's one of the riders from the Node 4 Giordana team.
That is Rico Rogers there, their sprinter.
The little sprinter from New Zealand. Well, I think what you might happen is, as the field fill the full width of the road, with the verges being high on the right, you could just catch a pedal and down you go.
Yeah, you can. We just see, if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the jersey go up in the air, and it's probably a touch of wheels, someone's brakes, and there he goes, straight up.
Gymnastic movement almost. Fortunately, it was grassy,
points,
wasn't it?
Yeah, 4 points for effort.
And then as the peloton swung over to avoid, you can see the repercussions of that, where riders on the left were being forced off the road as well.
Well, this is the trouble. You go down like a deck of cards, don't you, here? And when all the riders are fighting for position, there's not a lot of room between the riders, and one go down and that's it. But this highlights the importance of why these riders do what they're doing now, riding up the front. I mentioned Liquigas. They're always up in and around the front, just trying to keep riders out of trouble. Crashes do happen up the front of the bunch, we do see it, but more often than not, it's halfway down or further to the back. So if you can keep yourself out of trouble on these, especially on these smaller roads, all the better for the team.
That's quite a chase in front of them, isn't it? One rider has waited for Rico Rogers and the pressure is being applied, so that's going to be a hard chase.
It really will, and it's a sort of effort that you can do without. I mean, we've seen it before with Robbie McEwen, for instance, in the Tour de France. He crashed very late on, crashed or punctured, and then had to ride himself back onto the bunch, got himself there and took the victory. So the adrenaline can come through. But here, another crash yet again on the left-hand side of the bunch. Oh my word. We were expecting, we said there could possibly be crashes, but I expected it to be on the lead-in on these bends, but not this far out from the finish.
Let's have a look at this one then, Rob, see if we can tidy it up, see who's on the floor.
Narrow bridge, pinch point.
Yeah. They're getting twitchy as well, aren't they, now, as the pressure is being applied. Right, one of the young riders from the Great Britain team at the back there. I think that was Owen Doull, actually. But Endura are obviously deciding it's time for them to put some pressure on. Look at that.
Yep, there was two separate crashes, actually. That one happened a little bit after this. This was the first crash here on this pinch point, and you can see there aren't many of the bigger teams here. There's one of the Garmin Sharp riders on the right.
Yeah. There's a lot been delayed here, and Posh Sean Kelly as well. He's really gone down, hasn't he?
There we go, yeah.
So that could be one of the lead-out men that could have helped Tyler Farrar. So a little bit of a thinning down now, the peloton at the back due to the crashes.
Yeah, Jonathan McAvoy here, Johnny Mac
Magnus
on the front.
Big Magnus.
Magnus Baxter there for his team UK Youth. And there we go, their day's over. There's no possibility of those riders getting back to the bunch now.
So they're going to lose a lot of time by the arrival at the finish. Meanwhile, on the front, Endura Racing beginning to really turn the screw here. And I think that Sky will welcome this.
They will. It's certainly helping them. It's unclear. It looks like Russell Downing there, the shorter rider just in front of the first Sky rider there. He's the guy that they're trying to set up, but it's twofold as well, because what it's also doing is keeping all of their riders, including their team leader Jonathan Tierenlock, out of this kind of trouble. As we can see, absolute carnage.
A little bit of queuing up at the back as wheels are being changed, derailed chains trying to be fixed. Oh dear, they are losing heaps of time. And
again, it highlights the importance of having a rider from your team very highly situated on the GC, because what that then gives is the order of the vehicles. They've all drawn last night at the HQ, all of the team managers would have drawn positions for their cars in the convoy, and then as of today it will be classed on the general classification. So if your vehicle is right up the front, you can get service so much quicker than if your vehicle's stuck right down at the back.
And because we haven't got an overall standing situation where obviously the leader would get the first car position, correct?
Yeah.
Due to that draw, rather amazingly, first out was Sao Chasson, and the first Pro Tour team was 10th Orica Greenedge.
Well, I think it just goes to show the fairness that we have here in the UK, because so often I've been in team managers meetings in France, and funnily enough, all the top French teams seem to be pulled out of the hat first.
Oh, really? Well, Endura Racing were the second, to be fair. And there they are, right on the front. Now then, we are obviously speculating on the fact that they're trying to tee up the rider Russell Downing for a tilt at this first stage victory, the 34-year-old Yorkshireman who's been a double British champion and had a great raft of successes to his career over the years. As we're looking at the back of the field here, and a lot of work to do for this fella. That's Alistair Slater, just 19 years of age, Slater. I think it's going to be a final 15 kilometres on his own.
Yeah, it's going to be an extremely difficult chase for him, but with only 15 kilometres to go, not quite so bad, and the crowds will still be out on the side of the road, I'm sure, cheering him on. If you're out on your own, especially as some of the riders may well find themselves in that situation at the back end of the race later on in the week. Earlier on, it's quite difficult. You've got 50-60 kilometres to go, but here we can see Endura Racing, they really have taken it on. Johnny McAvoy in second place, his teeth out already. Having said that, I've always said to him, Johnny, why do you always look like you're riding flat out? And he says, because I am, right? It's because I am, but he really does try. And here we can see the riders here from Node 4, Giordana, chasing back on desperately, trying to get back to this, but as we can see, the way that these riders are going here on the front of the bunch, they've got absolutely no chance.
I tell you what, they've got the race face on, all of these members of the Endura team, and that group has thinned down, Rob. The pressure being applied here, and I tell you what, we're sweeping on towards the finish now, and it's looking very much like Endura are trying to set this up then for Russell Downing, but Sky behind are having an armchair approach as well here, and Cav is surely going to profit from that. Now then, Magnus Backsted's team is just a little further back, UK Youth Cycling. So are they trying to set that up for Magnus Backsted as their sprinter, or is he going to be the Swede?
Yeah, up to now, well,
the other Swede,
yeah, Big Maggie has he's been always helping out with the riders. I know his form hasn't been as good as he would have liked it to have been, but he certainly looks fit and lean at the moment. So maybe he's putting himself in that situation. He always would have done in the past, either be the top lead-out man, former lead-out man for Mario Cipollini, actually. Back in the day, and another ex-Liquigas rider as well.
I think those crashes actually have created the selection, haven't they, for today's stage?
Well, that's it. This is the group that's going to come into the finish. Whether all of them are going to make it, but it looks at the moment like it's going to come down to a bunch sprint.
So Endura Racing on the front, tapping the rhythm out here, and you've got to ask yourself the question at the end of this stage, who is it going to be fruitful for? Sky are also menacingly there in the wings, looking after the interest of the fastest man on the planet, and that of course is Mark Cavendish, the Manx Express himself. Liquigas have got a presence here as well, so have Vacances Soleil. In fact, a lot of the big players are there. I'm trying to just look through the wheels to see if I can spot one of the teams that have dropped a big rider. Is Farrar there? You've got to ask the question. I can see riders from the Garmin Sharp team. Tyler Farrar is their key sprinter. Robbie Hunter was going to be their lead-out man for Farrar, but he's pulled out at the last stage, and Nathan Haas is coming to replace him.
Yeah, certainly will be a big loss to Tyler Farrar there, having Robbie Hunter there, a great lead-out man over the years, and former sprinter himself. Certainly,
stage winner in the Tour de France, first rider from Africa ever to win a stage in the Tour de France, but Hunter not starting, although we thought he was going to be in the lineup. Now Sigma Sport also on the left there, you can see in the black and the red jersey, they have got riders up here at the sharp end of the contest. Tom Last's a man that might have a dig in the final sprint. Whether he's got the firepower to stay with some of the specialist sprinters, I don't think so, but he's likely to be in the mix.
Yeah, he is. He's quite a slight rider, and certainly not a rider who you would imagine to be a sprinter, but he's always finds himself there or thereabouts in a lot of the races, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons why the big Dutch rider from Sigma Sport, Wouter Subrandi, has been up there, just helping to police his team up near the front.
That was Jennings actually, just tailed off slightly. Rider from the Rafa Conda Sharp team, comes from the Republic of South Africa. He could be actually just bridging to make the junction again after being delayed by one of those crashes.
Tieran Locke on the front, doing the work, which I'm quite surprised about, but again, it's keeping him out of trouble, and it's something that Bradley Wiggins has mentioned a few times in the past about doing lead-outs for the team leader. It does help to keep them out of trouble, and I think it shows the confidence that he's got as well of the form.
Keep an eye out on Russell Hampton as well, because he was second in the King of the Mountains contest last year. But of course, Jonathan Tiernan Locke, he'll be smacking his lips at the thought of tomorrow's stage, Rob. They weave their way into Derbyshire, and there are 3 stinkers to be negotiated, brutal climbs, all categorised first. So tomorrow is when we can expect Tiernan Locke to make a big effort for the King of the Mountains. Well, the rider from Sky has just come to the front. I'm just wondering if that's as a little calming exercise, because Team Endura were really putting the rest in the red zone.
No, they were trying ever so hard, and doing a great job. They really were, and have been making the most of the opportunity that they've had, and they've given themselves. They've rallied themselves extremely well, got themselves up to the front, and they'll be getting information to each other, and talking to each other, just making sure that they know exactly where they're at and what they're doing.
Wouter Subrandi just clinging to the back there, this 27-year-old brilliant time trialer, and I bet he wished there was a test against the clock in this particular tour, but he's right on the tail of the peloton. That is the worst place to be, because every time there's an injection of pace at the front, it's a little bit like chasing a shadow there, isn't it, the way it whips around in front of you?
Yeah, it is. So you get whipped around, and last rider, especially on these roads where it's twisty lefts and rights, you get the accordion effect where the front riders are going round at their even pace, and at the back you're having to slow down going into these bends as the riders bunch up in front of you, and then as you sprint out you're having to do a good 5 to 10 miles an hour quicker than the riders at the front, so it's extremely difficult.
So with 6.6 kilometres to go now, and the twists and turns that are going to line them up for the run into the showground finish here, Sky will be anxious not to allow anybody to jump clear, all of course building to launch Cav for the line.
Yep, their job for today is to make sure that this bunch comes in together with Mark Cavendish in good position, so that they can drop him off with anything between 200 and 300 metres to go, ideally around about 200 metres, but he could probably afford to go a little bit earlier today because it is a tailwind. It was a tailwind earlier in this bunch, in this finish straight. If it was a block headwind, he would want to wait and leave it till probably 150 metres to go.
Well, another puncture victim here. It's about the worst place ever to have a puncture, isn't it, when you're inside the concluding 6 kilometres, and the field at the front really going for it now, so he's in with a serious problem now, that rider, to get back into the convoy of cars, and I can't see it happening.
No, the Czech rider Jan Barta really is going to struggle now with this 5.6 kilometres to go.
Jan Barta, third in this event last year overall, so that's not exactly the start he wanted.
Not ideal, is it? Not at all. But nope. None of his teammates are here. They possibly don't know that he's had issues. If they did, I'm sure there'd be 1 or 2 waiting for him.
Well, right at the back now is the man that's the King of the Mountains, and right at the front is the man that probably will be in the lead in the King of the Mountains tomorrow, and that's Tiernan Lok.
Quite possibly. But no, I think Christian Haus, I think that we'll find John Tiernan Lok, he'll be looking more for the GC rather than chasing points. If they come, then he'll be happy with that. But at the moment we can see Christian Knies from Team Sky just trying to take a little bit of order, take control. So Garmin Sharp just following him.
Yeah, Christian Knies then, the big, strong, powerful German, goes to the front, and he's going to keep this rhythm really high now. Garmin Sharp shadowing him all over him like a rash here, and they've allowed a little gap to form, but Sky will come back into the wheel of the Garmin Sharp ride, and you can see Cav there wearing the rainbow jersey as world champion. This is an absolute superb setup then for Cavendish. Let's just talk you through the concluding stages. When they enter the park with a kilometre to go, then it gets a little bit technical in so much as they've got a left-hander, a little bit of chicane, and then it weaves its way back to a right-hander, and then straight down to the finish. So Christian Haus quite happy now to sit at the back of the field, and he's the man, of course, who is the King of the Mountains after day 1. But we're going to see 5 kilometres to go.
Yeah, and Christian Haus on the back, happy with his day's work. He's certainly been out there and shown his Rafa Condor team to the best. But here we see Team Sky now, 4 kilometres to go. Bernie Eisel, I believe, on the front there by the looks of it. He knows the script. He's done this so many times through all of Mark Cavendish's career. He's been there. He's his wingman. He's the man that looks after him. Make sure he gets himself to Paris in the Tour de France.
Well, 3 kilometres to go. They're getting ever nearer then to the approach on Durham Road, and then from Durham Road they'll be heading on past the hotel actually where we stayed last night, Rob, and then they'll swing into the exit, or the entrance I should say, to the park and the finish.
Just a little bit of a battle there with Sory-Sojon, the French team, and the green rider there from Liquigas. It really does start to get a little bit tetchy now and again, and it's amazing how much information you can pass on to one another in this kind of situation. The amount of body language,
Sky
physical.
on the front. Yep. the lineup now. What an impressive lineup as well. Look at this, Bradley Wiggins. What a man to have to lead you out. The man that's won the Tour de France. Can't be bad, can it?
Not bad at all, is it? You can see Maggie Backstead here, Team UK Youth. That's Luke Rowe there, just ahead of Mark Cavendish.
So Luke Rowe just in the lead-out line as well. He got a late call for the team. Lockfist, the Swede, was taken out almost at the last minute, and Luke Rowe got the call to be in the team.
Everybody fighting for that rainbow jersey, everybody looking for that wheel for Mark Cavendish. They know that he's got the best lead out in this race, and they know that he is the one who will be set up for the win.
So it's Nice, Wiggins, Rowe, Cavendish, and then right on the front,
Bernie Eisel. There he is.
Bernie Eisel, the man that guides Cav through the mountains. All the names, of course, that we are always talking about, and they're right here on our screen, racing on British roads. Now then, we're inside the concluding 3 kilometres of stage 1, and they are now on the Durham Road. They're going to come right down here, and then they're going to anchor right, and then head in towards the entrance to the park, and the pace really being applied at the front now. The little thin line beginning to form. There we go, 2 kilometres remaining, and you can tell that this is a perfect setup then by Team Sky for Cav.
Really are doing a good job. Again, in the left-hand gutter, the wind coming across from their right-hand shoulder, and here you can see Orica Greenedge now coming up to the front. That looks like Brett Lancaster here, following the motorbike, leading his team out.
That's put Sky on the back foot a little bit here, because it is very narrow and technical once they get into the park. So there'll be work then for the Sky boys to do. In the team of Orica Greenedge, you've got Bobridge, Lancaster, Hepburn, Howard and Kropis of Lithuania. No really big powerful sprinter there, but a lot of riders from the track background. Jack Bobridge, of course, holder of the world record for the 4,000 metre individual pursuit. Maybe he fancies his chances.
They probably do, and they've got strength in depth in that team, and they just need to make sure that they get themselves on the front. They've got the strength to do it.
1.5 kilometres to go. Wiggins, you can just see in those yellow sunglasses that he's worn ever since he won the Maillot Jaune. Cavendish has gone down, and there's a massive crash at the back there, and that's left Bradley Wiggins off the front. A brace of riders from the team of Sky are clear, and Cavendish is on the deck, and he is not a happy chap at all. I'm just wondering what happened there. Let's have another look at it. What happened there, Rob?
He either touched a wheel or his front wheel came off the side of the road and he got caught on the gravel. I don't know, but he could very well. It looks like he's talking to a rider. I think he probably got taken out. His front wheel got taken out from a rider alongside him.
So Cavendish then on the deck, and it looked as though the setup was perfect then for the Sky riders. Is Farrar another one of the riders there as well on the floor as we wait for the arrival of the leaders on the line? And it left Bradley Wiggins just clear at the front. Is Wiggins going to get there's Farrar? So yep. Tyler Farrar's delayed as well, and it means now that Team Endura are on the front as they're coming towards the finish.
And is there another crash on that right-hand bend? But I think we're looking here at the crash, and it was, I think again, if it's Tyler Farrar for sure who's taken Mark Cavendish down.
Well, we said it was technical and we expected riders to fall as they're now approaching the finishing line. This is the funnel now that'll bring them up to the line. It's going to be a tremendous finish here, and it's still Sky in with a chance. Is that Hunt? You can't quite tell from here as they come to the line. Team Sky are going to take the stage victory despite Cavendish being on the floor. Let's have a look at it as they come over the line. Is that Hunt that crossed the line first?
No, I think it would probably be Luke Rowe, who would have been Mark Cavendish's last man, his lead-out man. Russ Downing was on the right-hand side. Looked like he got third place.
What a finish. So we'll tidy that one up for you when we get a closer look. But, well, drama here then in the closing stages as Sky had got it all set up for Mark Cavendish, and also Garmin Sharp were in the shake-up as well as the rest of the riders limp over the line here. What a finish that was.
Well, that really has put pay to a lot of people's GC contention after today, hasn't it? I think that looks like Ivan Basso there on the left-hand side, just changing position with his foot there on his shoe. I presume caught up in that crash. I mean, that crash was so far up the front of the bunch that it's just so unlucky for so many of the riders. There wasn't any more they could have done to stay out of trouble.
Well,
Magnus Backstead here,
yeah,
just coming across the line.
Let's take a look at the rest of the riders as they come in at the finish. Difficult to take to ID the winner from that distance. But if it was Luke Rowe, it'll be a superb victory for him, having been bought in the team at the last minute as we look at Mark Cavendish and the rest pedalling their way in towards the finish.
Well, he's okay, fortunately. It looked like he went down really, really hard on his right-hand shoulder.
Field absolutely in bits.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that it was Luke Rowe.
So we're saying that he think it was Luke Rowe. We couldn't quite work out if it was Jeremy Hunt, but we are thinking that it was Luke Rowe then that got the victory. What a victory it is for him as well then. He's the man that was in the lead-out train and would have been responsible for launching Cavendish to the line. But look at this here, carnage, absolute carnage.
Sorry, I'm wondering if Cav actually got hit up from behind, the rider behind him, who pushed him forward into the rider that Mark himself was following.
Yeah,
it's difficult to see from that angle.
Yeah, it does look like Rowe, doesn't it? Yeah, just driving on for the line. Delight as well. This gives us a better idea.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely Luke Rowe.
Luke Rowe on the right. You
can recognise there. Yeah.
United Healthcare rider.
Had some superb wins. Yep, in his career as Rowe. Comes from the track background, and is that Downing on the right?
Yeah, that's certainly Russell Downing. That's his style.
It is, burying himself as he comes up to the line as well. But there we are. Yes, you can see it much clearly now. It is Luke Rowe celebrating in style that wins stage 1 here in the Norfolk Showground. What a finish, drama as well, as the crowd are now going to welcome Mark Cavendish up to the line, the crash victim.
Big disappointment there for Cavendish. But on the flip side is Team Sky still got the victory.
Is that Basso as well? So Basso delayed?
No, I think Basso was delayed, but that's not him there. But I think Basso did roll in just behind. I mean, it happened so far up. I mean, Cavendish was obviously in the perfect position in those last couple of kilometres for this finish. So if you get caught up with Cavendish or just behind Cavendish, then you're going to be in an awful lot of bother.
Still they come in, and the ovation that Mark Cavendish is receiving is louder than the stage winner. He's not a happy chappy.
No, not at all. To have put the work in with yourself and the teammates around you, he knows this was a massive opportunity today to take another victory in that coveted rainbow jersey, the jersey that this is his last race wearing this jersey this week, because those World Championships next week in Limburg certainly isn't a course for him. So yeah, a big disappointment, but as we said, the flip side, Team Sky did take the win with his teammate Luke Rowe. Here you can see them just having a chat about what happened, who did what. And this is one of the things we mentioned earlier with the Soigneur. Cavendish's massage tonight. I know what the subject will be, the common theme of the conversation between himself and his Soigneur. Ian Bibby, enduro rider who did fantastic work for his teammates. Just riding through. Here we're seeing another slow motion.
Wiggins is on the front there.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't. It's so difficult to see what happened there with Cavendish. I've got a feeling his front wheel went off the road as he came out of that bend.
Ready?
So we can go to Jill, who has got riders down there to talk to.
Well, Jez, a long, hard day in the saddle. You pulled hard on the front there. A Sky win, but disappointing to see the world champion go down at the finish.
Oh yeah, it was a long, hard day, and we were riding for Cav, but then Luke came out with the goods, which was lucky, and it's worked out really well.
Did you see what happened to Cav?
No, I was a few minutes behind, but I guess he just came down on one of the last corners.
It's a pretty technical finish here, and you know, some riders will know it, some will have studied it harder than others. I know Cav certainly knew what to expect here, but maybe it was that one of the other riders got involved. We're not sure whether Tyler Farrar was there.
I'm not going to answer that one.
How was it today then? As you said, a long, hard day. You pulled hard in the front for Sky.
Yeah, I mean, it was an enjoyable day. It was so many people out there. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it in the UK. I mean, I remember 10 years ago when this race started, and there was no one watching the race, and now it's unbelievable.
And of course, you've announced that this will be your last season, so very special to enjoy the next few days.
Yeah, I'm just here. I'm enjoying it. I'm right on the front, reminiscing, thinking of the old days, all that kind of stuff. It's great.
Yeah, you're always a favourite with the crowds. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers.
Right.
So Jeremy Hunt, in his last race, he's announced his retirement. But he'll be delighted that one of his teammates, of course, was the victor. Luke Rowe, strong finisher, fast finisher, taking over after his leader had hit the ground, and still riders limping in here before the protocol prize presentation, Rob.
Big group. This is quite possibly the group that came down on that pinch point with that little small red brick bridge that we saw. Big crash went down. Probably around about just under half of the peloton have come down today or been held up in crashes and missed that front group. There didn't look like an awful lot of riders, around 100 riders started today, and I think there were probably only around about 50 to 60 in that bunch by the looks of it.
Well, the crowd that came here for the action have certainly enjoyed it. And it was a British winner in the end with Luke Rowe. He joins that very exclusive list of British riders that have actually won the stage. As the team cars now come to the deviation point. And we'll be heading on towards the presentation of the jerseys as the protocol list is now being prepared. We'll take a break. Well, there it is, the podium, waiting for the arrival of the surviving gladiators that stayed upright at the end of the stage to pick the spoils up. So we can join Jill again, who I think she's got Matt Stevens with her.
I have indeed, yes. We managed to stay upright at the finish, but very exciting and thrilling end to this stage here at the Norfolk Showground. The crowd all waiting. We were watching the big screen. We were kind of unsighted of the crash, but I could hear Hugh and Rob's commentary on it. You were actually in front of it in the car, and you could hear it a little bit on race radio. Any idea what happened there? Do you think there was a clash of wheels?
I think primarily it was due to the very, very narrow lanes and the high speed. It's one of those things that happens in bike racing sometimes. It's very unfortunate, but I know there was a general regrouping, and then again there was a couple of crashes in the finale, again due to the narrowness of the finish. But again, these professional riders are used to it. It's just one of those things. I just hope there's nobody that's truly hurt.
But obviously disappointed to see Mark Cavendish not being able to contest the sprint. But what about young Luke Rowe, just drafted into this team almost as a sort of last-minute change, and I suppose tasked with perhaps leading out Mark Cavendish, but he's really stepped up today, hasn't he?
Yeah, young Luke Rowe has been a talent on the scene for a few years now, and has obviously been signed by Sky. But yeah, I won probably his best ever result. But it was really a really scrappy finish there. But he's obviously proved himself to be a right fighter to come and take the spoils home for Sky.
Just looking over the course of today, what do you think we've learned then about the quality of this race today? Because obviously there's been the odd spill, the odd crash, but it's been fiercely contested, hasn't it?
It certainly has. I mean, I did predict that there'll be a small move that went away, but it didn't get too far. It got, I think, 6 minutes was the longest, which showed the intent of the sprinters teams to bring it back together again today. They brought it back in the last 10 or 15 Ks. Should have been a sprint royale, but still we had a wonderful finish, a wonderfully exciting finish.
Well, the crowd are all standing by, desperate to see the podium here, so let's get on with the presentations.
Victory ceremony. Well, the victory ceremony has been teed up now, and we will now meet the riders, of course, who managed to stay upright at the finish, and they will be coming forward to receive their respective awards. First award that will be presented will be for the stage winner here in Norfolk Showground. First time we've finished here in the Tour of Britain in the 9-year history. can take it from me, they will eventually arrive. The riders will have been gathered in that tent just behind, that's the catch area. And then they will be bringing out the dignitaries who are involved in the presentation of each of the sections of this quite long, actually, presentation ceremony. Delighted to welcome Ian Monson, Norfolk County Council, and Mr. Andy Wood of Adnams. And they are going to present the award to the stage winner, and he should be coming out now representing Team Sky. It is Luke Rowe. Here he is, the winner of stage 1 of this year's Tour of Britain in Norfolk Showground.
Great victory there for Luke. He's worked tirelessly all year. His first year with Team Sky, and he's had his opportunity. That opportunity for him to take this victory probably wouldn't have happened had there not been that crash, but that's what these riders do. They take their chance, and if it happens, they had a plan B and they stuck to it, and my word, didn't he deliver. I think former national Madison champion 3 times, I think, along with his current Sky teammates, Geraint Thomas. I think he won last year with Peter Kenyuk as well, the Isle of Man, fellow Isle of Man rider for Mark Cavendish. But I think this is his first and certainly his biggest victory on the road, and who knows, many more to come, quite possibly.
Well, the next award will be the Combativity Prize, Rouleur Cheese and Flowers. This involves Bruce Sandell from Rouleur and Martin Wilby, South Norfolk District Council. So there's the cheese, and the man that's going to receive the award. So the Combativity Award. It goes to the An Post Sean Kelly rider, Niels Whiting, who was away in that breakaway all day, and eventually he was swept up by the chasing group.
Accompanied by Terry Brooker. And the winner of the Yodel Sprints jersey from stage 1 of the race today, riding for Soja Son, please welcome Ronnie Mathias.
So the next award will be for the Yodel Sprints competition. Here is the winner. And this is Ronnie Mathias, riding on the Soja Chasson team. Receives his award from Mark Cousins of Yodel. Sheer consistency has won him that prize today. He was first in Melton, first in Great Yarmouth, and first in Coltishall. So Ronnie Mathias is the first holder of the Yodel Sprints jersey. So 3 more presentations to come, and the first of the 3 will be for the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. It's my pleasure here to welcome Rory Abel from Skoda, who is going to present this jersey to the man from Rafa Conda Sharp, and this will be Christian House, who was away in the breakaway all day, and there he is, the former British national champion. He'll put up quite a fight, actually, in the defence of that jersey, Rob.
No, I think he will. I don't think he'll have any aspirations for general classification, but he's eyed this jersey, I think. Having said that, I don't think he intended to go out there today and do this. Apparently Jill Douglas spoke with him this morning, and he was quite calm and casual and said, no, not today, I'll sit in. And within a few kilometres, and a few minutes of the start he was away. And so often this can be the case. You don't always have a plan. Ideally you do, and you try and stick to it, but with sometimes you just find yourself in a position where you follow a wheel, and before you know it you're away, and that was possibly the situation with him.
Not
and
bad,
he's got himself out there, and my word, didn't he make the most of it? He really did.
So the next jersey will be for the points. This is the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey. And I'm pleased to welcome here Rob Paul from Chain Reaction Cycles and Barry Stone, Norfolk County Council, to present the jersey. Remember, this is on consistency. Every day that you win, you get 15 points all the way down to 1, and at the end of the race, the man that amasses the most points leads the competition. It is, of course, Luke Rowe. We've only had one stage. He was the winner, so he gets the 15 points. And he is now pulling on the rather nice jersey here, actually, for the Chain Reaction Cycles points classification. Quite fancy one of those jerseys, actually, Rob.
You have to get out there and win one, won't you?
Thank you. So it's been a wonderful day, hasn't it, for Luke Rowe? And of course he has still got the moment to come when he will receive the IG Markets Gold jersey as the leader of the Tour of Britain after the first stage of 203 kilometres. So to present the IG Markets Gold jersey, we are welcoming here Tim Hughes from IG, and it is the man, of course, that we've already met, as he's come on twice already to collect various other jerseys, but now this is the one they're all after. So the leader of the Tour of Britain after the opening stage is Luke Rowe of Team Sky, and he's going to pull on the IG Markets Gold jersey. Still a long way to go, but a brilliant piece of sprinting here by Luke Rowe. He survived the melee as they entered the showground and got himself in the right position, and of course clinched this opening leg. So that really does tidy up the presentation of all the jerseys, as we confirm Luke Rowe, leader on the general classification. And I'm waiting to just see the standings, actually, because the field limped in, and I think you're going to see there will be clusters of riders, and they've all lost a lot of time today.
There'll be 1 or 2 seconds for the front riders, and I think those at the front of the peloton, Luke Rowe included, that those differences in time will pale into significance as the week goes on and we get onto the heavier, the grippier, hillier roads. But yeah, certainly 1 or 2 of the riders a little bit further back. It's not an ideal first day to start.
Now I think we can talk to Christian House, actually, the King of the Mountains. I think we've got Christian House.
Christian, aggressive racing right from the gun there today. Was the tactic always to go for the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey?
No, it was, I was actually planning on having an easier day today. We kind of knew it was going to be a bunch sprint, and I thought maybe I'd save my legs for another day, but just the way it worked out, I just followed a move early on, and that was it, 4-man break from the gun. So once I got into the move, I think, I kind of looked towards the sprints to maybe get a bit of time, and, the first mountain came fairly easy for me, so I just decided to go for it then.
The trip to the podium and a jersey, it's always gratifying. Is the tactic now just to fight for it, scrap for it as much as you can in the coming stages?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to hold on to it for as long as I can. There's some big climbs coming up, and they're going to decide the race, so it might be unrealistic for me to think to hold on to it, but I'll give it a good go, and we'll see what happens.
And a word for the crowds out there, incredible or what?
Yeah, it was unreal. We were out in the country, and all of a sudden we turned into a little village, and there'll be 2,000-3,000 people there, and it was just the support was unreal, and just a big thanks to everybody on the sides of the roads today, because it was unbelievable.
Christian, congratulations and good luck for the rest of the race.
Thanks very much. Yeah, cheers.
Great to see Podium here on the opening stage, and Matt, I just talked to Christian House just before the start, and I said, will you get on the break today? And he sort of shook his head, no, not today. But there, you can always expect Christian House to get in amongst it and get up the road in a break, can't you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, Christian's one of the best domestic-based riders, former national champion, won 2 rounds of the Tour Series, and funnily enough, I was talking to him before the start as well, gave him a good luck wish, and he looked in fine form, said that he felt very, very good. But obviously, a lot of the British teams are going to be very attacking early on in the stages, and he's come away with a Mountains jersey, which I think he'll try and defend. Yeah,
great to see him there, of course, ever present in the Tour Series. But another British rider up on the podium. Let's hear from him now. Today's stage winner, Luke Rowe.
Luke, congratulations, first stage of the Tour of Britain this year, but I think it's fair to say no one expected that, probably least of all you.
Yeah, least of all me for sure. I mean, we had the lead out perfectly sorted for Cav. I was going to be the last lead out man for Cav, and just proves that bike racing's so unpredictable, and the way it turned out, I just shouted to Brad, it's for me, and he just went full gas, and out-foxed the other guy, and, hands in the air.
Did you actually see much of what happened behind you?
Yeah, I had a quick glimpse. He said someone just, dive bombed Cav, come inside him and just chopped him out, and but that's the sport. That's the sport. That's the way things happen at the end of the day, and
And of course, with the stage win, you're now in the leader's jersey.
Yeah.
What do you think your chances are of defending that jersey in the coming days?
I think I can definitely keep it for a couple of days. The last few days are real tough. We'll have to wait and see, take it day by day, but I'm not ruling myself out of saying that I can do a ride GC here. Whether or not I can win it and climb with the top guys, time will tell.
Finally, Luke, great weather today. You guys were treated like rock stars, thousands of people on the road. How was it?
That was special. I remember that day for a long time. It's biggest crowds I've ever raced, and I've raced for 10 years all over the world, and I've never seen crowds like that.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
What a composed young man, Luke Rowe. It's for me, he said to Bradley Wiggins when he saw Cav go down. A big stage win for him.
Definitely, you're one of our best young talents of recent years, and has really come into his own today. He looks so proud on the podium there, and I think he'll have the whole of the Sky team around him tomorrow and defending the jersey.
Quick word on tomorrow's stage then. Nottingham to Knowsley Safari Park.
Yeah, we've got 3 first category climbs midway through the race, which could split things up, but then there's a 40 to 50k run into Knowsley Safari Park. Hopefully nobody will get eaten, but I've no doubt it's going to be another tremendous stage, and Sky got a lot to do tomorrow.
Absolutely hope that all of those animals are kept under control. I mean the ones with fur on them, not the riders. Great to see them in action again tomorrow. We've got highlights coming up tonight on ITV4. That's at 8 o'clock, so you can watch it all over again if you've missed any of the highlights today, and again for the rest of the week, 7 o'clock on ITV4 for stage 2. Ned Boulting will take on the baton after today, but hope you can join us again tomorrow for the rest of this Tour of Britain. Bye for now.